And there we are. Okay, you guys, welcome to the Rooted Cafe. This is our homeschool call for April. We are April 28th, and I'm so happy that you guys took time out of your day to join me. And really today, what I wanted to do is just kind of a meet and greet. I know there's just a few of us here, but I haven't got to meet a lot of you, and wanted to know where y'all are at in your homeschool journey and what questions you might have um, as far as homeschooling goes. And if you can't talk, you're welcome to put it in the chat and I will look at it and also address that too. So I am, in case you haven't met me, I'm Tamara Russell, Tamara, Tamara, Tammy, answer to all of the above. So you can't say it wrong. And I've been homeschooling for about 17 years. My oldest daughter will be 18 in September, and she is graduating in June. She's the first. And so I've been homeschooling for quite a while. I've taught in a private school for a couple years, and I ran a daycare, kind of like a Head Start daycare, for about 10 years, and have also been in youth ministry for 10 years, or was previously. And so that's about me. And Kathy, how long have you been homeschooling, or have
A
you?
year and a half.
Year and a half. Wow.
I think it's all kind of a blur. We when COVID hit, we started. I am foster parenting with the plans of adoption for these two children, and I have a kindergartner, and will you check that, honey? And a third grader. They come from extreme trauma, and so I deal with school was actually public school was very difficult for them because that's where they were taken, and their minds just get really, really loud. And so COVID actually was a blessing in disguise for us because we were able to just do some one-on-one with them. I have to stay with the public system right now because they are still in foster care. So it's a K-12 that we do. And we did our kindergarten over because our kindergartner, he just really had a lot of problems. And our third grader, I wish we could have, because she has a lot of holes in her, because they've been in care for 3 years. Okay, mommy's on the phone. So go, my turn. Have good parents? Yes, sorry. And so it's been a real challenge. I wish we could kind of start back at ground zero with her, because we're learning digraphs. And so I've been trying to do that after they do their regular lessons, because her reading is a real struggle. And so once you hit third grade on, it seems like everything, you should have all the basics, and then they just start going forward. And so we're trying to just fill in as many holes as we can. But what they teach in public school is against a lot of our faith. And so I'm really torn about that. Hopefully in 6 months, our little boy will be adopted fully. And so then we will, the paperwork has already started, but his sister, it may be another year possibly. But so I'm excited to then change curriculum.
What state do you live in?
Oregon.
Oregon. I'm unfamiliar with the homeschool laws in Oregon, but I know that I've checked in with foster care rules and everything like that, because we have been praying about being foster parents, and I know that being foster parent, you kind of don't have the choice, where homeschooling is they have to do public school basically. And so I don't like that idea either, but it's nice that they can be home and doing on the computer with the K through 12, even though it's not ideal. And I know you're getting ready to go, but I wanted to suggest some things. I'm not sure that you, if you can, I think you can, because you can actually, you can hire a tutor for sure. But if you're looking for some resources for tutoring or to help get them caught up in some areas, khanacademy.com, I think it is, KHAN Academy. And it's online and it's free, and they have classes for just about every grade. And it's tutoring, so they have like videos, and then they'll have questions and quizzes to go along with it. And you go at your own pace because they're pre-recorded. And so you go in there and you set up an account for your child, and then you pick what grade you want to start them in. So, you know, my suggestion is if you think she needs to repeat a particular grade subject, then you can just put them, okay, second grade reading. You want to start them in there and see where they're at. You know, can they answer these questions? And you can kind of use it as an assessment tool.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just free. I have a couple of my kids who will go in there and just for, because we did have, my son was in, we did public school for 1 year last year, and then COVID hit, and so they had to come out. So they had this 6 months experience in public school. And so it was, he did actually get behind in some of his things because of some bullying issues with the students and the teacher. And so his grades started dropping. And so then we had to start supplementing with a, you know, like Khan Academy for a couple of things, just to make sure that he was getting caught up and wouldn't fall further behind. And so that is something that you can use to kind of assess, engage, and tutor.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, in our case, we've been foster parenting for 12 years. And so we have built a rapport with our county, and they know our success rate with reunification and things like that. And so our children that we have presently have had the most severe trauma of all the children we've ever had. And so for them, it actually, they saw the benefit of just learning to be a family setting instead of trying to add another piece like school. And so it was, the Father really blessed us in that we were given permission to do that. And so I just see they by law have to follow a certain standard. And so I'm trying to pick up the pieces. This Khan Academy sounds fantastic.
Right, and it is, and something that Christy mentioned, which I was going to mention as well, is that it is a secular standpoint. And so, you know, be cautious, just as you would with any curriculum if you were picking out curriculum, but it is from a secular standpoint, so they don't teach faith or scripture or anything like that. I know that there's some who follow the Common Core stuff in there and some who don't. So, you know, pick and choose and screen it if you have to, but we haven't come across anything that's super outrageous. And if we do, then we just, okay, let's find your tutoring from somewhere else. Let's just go get some extra workbooks or something like that for in between, you know, call it extra credit and take a trip to the treasure box for finishing an extra credit page a day or something, you know.
Right. Yeah, because that's what's so hard. When they were in so much turmoil, our third grader in first and second grade, kindergarten, that she didn't learn some of the basics. But we've just really been doing a lot of reading and fun books. And so her reading has come up, but testing online is really hard. She just does not test well. And so that's been our biggest challenge, trying to just build her confidence and PTSD moments when she gets stressed and nervous. And so it's been a learning curve, but both of them have increased. And so they're doing wonderful. And we've actually been very upfront with the teachers. There were some books they were wanting them to read, and it just was not acceptable. And I said, we'll do extra credit, whatever we need to do. And so they've really worked with us in that. And since I'm the learning coach for my little guy, I'm doing mainly all the teaching. And so when they want us to read something that's not, it's not something they're being graded on, but it's like a principle, then we're able to substitute so that it's not against our belief system. So that's been good. But I'm anxious to learn what I can get into once we have him adopted.
Mhm.
so it'll be first grade potentially that we'll be able to start a curriculum with him of our own. And I have no clue. There's a lot of good ones out there,
There
I've
really
heard.
are. Right now we use ACE, which is Accelerated Christian Education, ACE Ministries, and it's fairly inexpensive, and I really like their mandate. There's and that's kind of, they teach them to be responsible for their own education, and they teach them the honor system, and so that's what I like about it as well. First grade is one of those grades I love the best. When I was teaching private school, I taught kinder through second grade, and that's just a really unique age group, and I love working with them. And I encourage you to do, try not to get too overwhelmed with it, because the schools will say, hey, you need you got to have this subject, this subject, this subject, and you have to have this day, and yada yada yada. But I don't think, what a lot of people don't realize is that kids learn by living, and a lot of hands-on living learning stuff. I mean, they can learn fractions by baking a cake with you, and measurements and things like that. They can learn measurements building a little a birdhouse, and you can teach them about reading a ruler and how to measure by building something, and something as easy as that. And you can teach it quicker than the public school would have you. They have to draw it out, is what they have to do. I find that we can homeschool, we can do all of our lessons in a matter of 2 or 3 hours if we sit down and do it, so and the attention span is a big thing. So you find yourself
Yes, and my children are very morning. They're like us. We're morning people. And so afternoon classes are very challenging for them. So we try to get our core things done in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christy also says that Khan Academy has an app. I didn't know that. So I didn't think about it really. I mean, there's an app for everything, right? But they do have an app. She says, my 19 learned more living life with me than anything else, like making a grocery list, shopping, sales. Yes, Christy, very important. That's the way we do a lot of our learning here too. Is now we do our learning a lot differently than a lot of people. A lot of people do. We do life learning mostly. They do basics, math, reading, writing, science and social studies, those things. But a lot of those things can be learned in real life, budgeting by helping you pay the bills, letting them be involved when you balance your checkbook, making the grocery list and have them, go to the aisle with you and, okay, here's what we need. Look at these selections here. We need to be wise with our money. So what would you pick out? Let's compare prices to ounces and things like that. And so you're teaching them, how to be responsible with money while learning how to budget and learning how to do adult things, changing a tire, changing the oil. A lot of kids don't know how to do that these days. How to wash laundry. There's a lot of learning that goes into that. And I guarantee your kids' spouses are going to appreciate, the person that you made them to be by teaching them through life, rather than, they're not going to be too impressed because they know how to spell a word, but they may be impressed that they budget money really well and they can hold a job, and, they can take care of the car, and they can take care of each other. And so that's one thing that we value in our homeschool, is that we're preparing them for life, not for a test. And so try to keep that in mind when you're picking a curriculum, and don't let it overwhelm you. Remember, attention span, 15 minutes here, when they're willing, is a lot better than 2 hours of a struggle trying to get them to do something. So I know with phonics, like with reading, if you're having trouble with reading, one of the best programs that we have used is called Saxon Phonics. And what my 2 girls learned reading by ACE, the ACE curriculum, and I thought they were never going to learn to read. I thought, this isn't working. And then one day, both of their accounts, they just picked up a book and started reading. And, it wasn't until 7 or 8 years old, but that is the average age that children start reading. For the state to tell you that they should be reading at age 5 is don't, 7 and 8, 9 is a good age for reading. And that's when my girls and my boys started reading, but he started reading with facts and phonics.
I noticed, well, my oldest is 40 and we did, because we lived in Alaska for a period of time. And so we did ACE, I think it was ACE, and she and I have been talking about it. And she felt that was more intellectual for those who had like a knack for learning. And she works in Colorado with special ed children. And so not that our kids are special ed, but due to their trauma, she didn't think the ACE would be as effective for them. But is that the one that had PACEs?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, we had, because I remember we did do that with her, and my 36-year-old son, we found out he had dyslexia. And so a lot of that we were using was not as effective until we found out what his issues were. And then with the dyslexia, then we just got large print, and then once he caught on, it was good. But I do remember the ACE, but that was 40 years ago, or well, actually probably
they haven't
35.
much of it. I guess they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's been tried and true for a while, but it's not for everybody. And that's what I like about homeschooling, is being able to choose what works best for your family, and even what works for child to child, because ACE may work for one of your children, but you may need something different, completely different for another. And so I can tell you that even though I've been homeschooling for 17 years, we have changed our curriculum in and out, throughout there. And sometimes even now, like with my 14-year-old, we're still working on, she uses mostly ACE, but we do try to supplement some other things because she's getting ready to pick, the career that she wants to do. So now she's got her basics, and she's to a point where we can start helping to learn about the career path that she wants to take. And so there's not really a curriculum for that. You have to go into YouTube, Pinterest, Google, the bookstores, and find things like that to get the needs of her. And the same for my son. Right now he's in 6th grade, so he's just doing basics. And we'll do some hands-on things, and then he learns life things from me and from his dad. And then my oldest, who's graduating in June, she doesn't even use ACE. She uses eclectic things, mostly books. She is gearing up for her career and her life choices, what she wants to do. And she's an entrepreneur. She wants to start a business. So for her economics and for her things, we gear her curriculum towards what interests her, and she can still get her English out of that, and her math out of that, and grammar out of that, because she'll read the book, she'll write a report, we grade it for English and grammar, and she can give an oral report after she writes it, and then you have speech.
Right.
And so you can pretty much get 5 subjects out of any one assignment. So it doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, but it can be. And there are times where I'm just like, we're done today, let's go to the park, let's go do something else.
Well, that's what I've learned, to be able to read where mentally, and our 3rd grader doesn't have many loud moments this last few months, but I could tell, and I said, is your brain loud? And so then we just have to do some deep breathing, and then either take a break and that kind of a thing. But reading is so critical. I just really want to focus on their reading, because then you can open up the world to them with books, and specific type books that will work for them. And then we have more of a, I think, choice that way. Absolutely. So that's why I want to give them a good foundation.
Absolutely. And I think that even with the younger ones, if all you were doing was reading, or focusing on teaching them things that would help them learn to read, then after they're reading, they can do the math, they can do the science, they can do the social studies, because what do you have to know to do those things? Well, you have to be able to comprehend those things. And so reading and comprehension is very important. And that's what I liked about the facts and phonics, is that it helps with the reading and comprehension. So when you are reading to the smaller ones, you don't have to have a curriculum for this, but read a page or two and then ask them a question about what they just heard. And that's comprehension is, what color did it say his shirt was? Where did it say they were? What did they say that looked like? And just simple questions like that. And then the older they get, you can gear the questions to, their mentality and their age. But that's reading comprehension is a big thing. And I think once they begin to get that down, they can, like you said, the world is open. Sky's the limit, and they can learn all the things. So Christy said that she sounds like a lot like how she homeschools. And she mentions Life of Fred. Life of Fred has reading and math as well. I've heard a lot of good things about Life of Fred. So
is that like on YouTube?
Is
that book form?
It is book form. I've seen it in book form. Like, do you have a Mardell's? Have you heard of Mardell's Christian Bookstore?
No, we live out in the country.
Okay. Hi, Christy. Are you chiming in to help us?
Sorry, I'm driving, but Life of Fred is books, but they're pretty cheap books. And it's a math curriculum, but it's reading. And it's all life-based. So my older son really liked it because it was like real life application. And so they're learning like algebra concepts, but yet how they would really use them in life instead of just a piece of paper doing, equations. I think the books, you could probably find the books on thrift books maybe, but even buying them new, I think they're like $15, and they're hardback, good books, and the resale value on them is pretty well also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So probably Amazon would have them too if you can't, locate them elsewhere. If you have local homeschool curriculum swaps or anything like that. No, nothing like that. Aw, bless your heart. Well, we
Torah people, no homeschool people.
I mean, like the last homeschool swap I went to was probably 12 years ago, maybe. So they're hard to find. I encourage that if you are in a community that has a big homeschool group, that if you can start some kind of monthly or quarterly homeschool curriculum swap, do that, because you can help each other. And maybe you tried something and it didn't work, and so you take it and trade it with somebody who has something that might work. But anyway, so I've heard lots of good things about Life of Fred. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, I'll check into that. We Amazon everything. So
yeah.
Well,
and Christy, if you have any questions, I know you're driving. But it was good that you chimed in.
No, I'm just really here to listen and kind of just see what it's about. I'll just really quickly say, so I'm a single mom, and I have homeschooled my 19-year-old actually graduated at 17 and went into mechanics, and now he's going into, he's a certified mechanic, but now he's decided to be an electrician. So he's just, since he's young, he wants to get everything under his belt that he can, I guess. And then I have a 6-year-old who is just about to finish kindergarten.
Oh, nice.
So, and I've homeschooled both of them. The older one I started right around the beginning of first grade. We had a lot of trauma issues from a family member. Went through the system to try to get that taken care of, and actually made the issues worse. But as a single mom, I did not think I could homeschool, and it was the worst year of my life fighting God about it, and it was horrible for my son and myself. And so after that, I won't say it ever fixed, like it didn't automatically, get fixed, but at that time, we were still doing Christmas, and I had pulled him out in April. And by Christmas, my family they would say that he was a completely different kid. And it was just, it was very educational for both of us. And God worked it out. And I should listen to him to begin with, but we tend to not do that. And who's ever heard of a single mom homeschooling? But I did, and it he's successful now. So.
Wow. Well, that's an encouraging story, and I admire both of you. Sound like you're dealing with some challenges, but you're persevering and you're doing what you feel led to do. The Father's led you to do this, and even in the midst of fostering, when you have to comply with certain laws and rules and things like that, you're still persevering, and you're doing it, and so that's really encouraging and admirable. And my son wants to be a mechanical engineer. he's 12, and I think he's kind of getting to that place where he's saying, I think this is what I want to do. So trying to find him some stuff that helps him grow in that, and learn about those kinds of things. And then that way, he still has time to figure it out, but this will give him a chance to see if he really wants to do that, and get him some things that he can work on, and learn about those things. And if it's still something he wants to do later, then I know how to gear his education. So
yes, that's what we did. And my older son wanted to be an electrician to start with. He's always loved mechanics, but he wanted to be an electrician. But we had family members. He's a bigger guy. He's almost 6 foot and all of that. And we had some family members basically tell him he was too fat to do it. So then he was like, I guess I'll go into mechanics. And he's like, I love mechanics, but he didn't want to not love it anymore. That's why he didn't want to go into it, if that makes sense.
It does. It does.
And he did, but then he has a friend who's an electrician, and they were all talking. Anyway, he got the job immediately. He actually got paid, started out better than most people. And it was before he just turned 19 this last weekend. So, and then even as a mechanic, they were all amazed. He got his job out of his internship. And when he was filling out the paperwork, they said, well, you're not 18. And he's like, well, not for 2 more weeks. And they said, well, come back in 2 weeks and you have the job. But when they found out that he was raised by a single mom, they were really amazed that, because dad's not involved at all. And so, just amazed that he knew all he knew, and he had, all of that, but it was just living life together. I mean, really, that's what it was. We live life together. If the car needs fixed, I fixed it. Google, YouTube are amazing things. And he was right there with me. And, through God's hand, we were able to do all of it.
Wow. I love that story. It always makes you feel, a little bit of sense of pride when you get those kinds of testimonies from people who have come encounter with your children, and you're like, I guess it's paying off, I guess, we're doing okay. And I had some moments like that back in March when we went and volunteered at a friend's guest ranch. And my son is 12, and my girls are 14 and 17, and I was just working in the kitchen, so I didn't get to be out where my kids were working. But I had several guests find me, and are you Keegan's mom? And I was like, yes. And just the comments and the compliments that we received on his behavior and how he interacted with other people, and it was just a blessing to hear. So it's good when you can hear those things, because it's encouraging to you to keep going and keep doing what you're doing, and that listening to the Father always pays off. So it's hard, but it pays.
Well, our challenge that I'm seeing, thankfully, my 40-year-old daughter is a genius in math. So we have her on speed dial, because I did not do well. Algebra did not make sense to me. So they put me in business math, and I've owned we've owned several restaurants, and I've just worked in that field. So that's where my concern now, it seems like they're learning sooner things that, in 3rd grade, I wasn't learning what she's learning. And so that's where I wonder, when I'm able to take this on by myself, then where will I get my help? My daughter, but we have to do it all on Skype and things like that. That's where my biggest challenge is, to find the tools when it's a subject that I wasn't able to do And like, I was really upset with Common Core, but then because it was the children I've worked with, one of our foster kids that we've had long term, she had ADHD, and her attention span was small. And I was so upset with Common Core, but because of our situation, I started at ground zero, and it's pretty simple in the math, but there's so many steps that when you're dealing with a child with attention issues, the way I learned it, and I'm 60, there were fewer steps. And so I taught her my way, but then it's not acceptable. And that's where we've been struggling. Just I kind of understand, but when children who have attention challenges, those 3 or 4 extra steps that get lost, and then their brain gets loud. And so that's where we've really been challenged. Math worries me because if it doesn't make sense, I never used it in my life. And so, but I want to be open, because depending on what the Father has for them in their life, I want to be able to offer those things. But I grew up in a home of trauma, so it may have been I was in survival mode myself, and so I wasn't able to learn. And now that I have a kindergartner, I'm starting at ground zero in a good place, and so maybe I'll learn things I didn't know I could.
Yeah,
but algebra, just X times Y equals Z, makes no sense to me.
No. And the Khan Academy is open to anybody of any age, and so it can even help you in being able to tutor her. Use some things how to do it, because you can be a student on there as well. They have you can just go in there and learn all the things, and then the instructors may vary from subject to subject and grade to grade, but I know that some of the math that my younger ones were taking on there was Common Core a little bit, and so it may be that those younger subjects or the younger grades on there may be Common Core. I haven't looked into second or third or fourth grade, because we didn't start using it then, but it could be that they teach Common Core. And even YouTube, YouTube is a godsend. So you can YouTube Common Core math for second grade, or Common Core math for third grade. It depends if she needs to back up a little bit. You can start with the second grade and kind of do an assessment and see, oh, she's getting this, she knows this, so let's speed it up and let's find one for third grade, and 15 minutes a day learning something via YouTube, because hear and see, that's me. I need to hear it and I need to see it. And sometimes I even need a hands-on thing. So try to find things that will help whichever way she learns. And I bet Amazon probably has something as far as Common Core workbooks go as well. So it may be you do 15 minutes of a video a day, and then maybe you try a worksheet,
Yeah, one of our little ones, she transitioned to her daddy that we had last year. She had a fabulous online teacher. I love that. And she actually taught me the Common Core. She was patient with me. And so it makes sense when you do it, but when you have the right instructor, it's all, there's just, people need to be called to do this. Sometimes I worry if they're my children, so I'm called for their full education, I'm sure, but.
Absolutely. And I'll look into maybe some other forms of online tutoring. It may be that you can find somebody who knows the Common Core and can do a Zoom tutor session for 30 minutes once a week or something. I tutor my nephew in math once or twice a week, and not Common Core, but
right.
And I do that for my sister because, that's not her area. So, when we come together as a community, there may be somebody in our homeschool community here at the Rooted Cafe that we haven't met yet that we can connect with, and might be able to offer 30 minutes or an hour a week to help with that.
Well, my focus for my third grader is her reading, and her challenge, but it's due to trauma, is comprehension. Because they're in a fight and flight freeze. Mm-hmm. It's a survival mode. And so we're doing our basics, and we've come such a long ways, just even learning to work and realize that that healing moments in their life of that, and just taking the break when we need it. That's why I really like the homeschooling aspect, even with the online public. So I really like the program. The K-12 is, I really like it. And so it's really helping me also. But we're able to just take a break. When we have a hearing day with my children, you know, different trauma things, and we can take a break and start fresh in the morning. And so I really love the homeschooling aspect for foster children. It's a huge commitment. We're retired, so we're able to be home with our children, where a lot of people are working parents, and so that's not an option for them. But we're going to do a lot of catch up in the summer. So I'm looking forward to, because if I can get the reading down, then everything else I think falls into place.
Absolutely, you're right. And I love the going through the summer thing too. I always think, you know, learning never stops. You know, it doesn't wait. You know, are you going to get on, or you're on the train, or are you going to, you know, so we homeschool all year round. We don't really break unless something's going on, like we're moving. And so that may be a week or two out of the year that we're not schooling because we're packing and we're moving. So definitely being year-round homeschoolers makes up for the time that we have to take off to do other things. So we're still getting our 180 plus days that some states would require. You know, I mean, from state to state it's different, but and so learning never stops, an every day, all day thing, because they learn by example too. And so they're learning by watching you. And I think a lot of kids learn to read or love to read mostly because they saw somebody in their life learn to read or love to read. And so they picked that up. They just got that love of reading from, you know, somebody that was an example to them. And so that's what we have to be to them, as an example. And I know you are. And so, but yeah, she'll get it. It sounds like you're doing a really fantastic job. And, you know, I admire what you're doing.
Yeah, we're excited. I just get challenged sometimes of what they want them to read, but we've had some really great teachers that are working with us, and so far we're okay.
Yes. Well, when we were in the public school last year, or, you know, during the 2019 until COVID, they were in a public school, and we did that same thing. I mean, I was in the position where I had to go to work, and so we had to, and he had to work, and so we had to put them in the public school. And it was a very nervous time for us. But when incidences like that did come up, where the assignment had to do something that did not align with our beliefs, or you know, anything, we made known, you know, they're not going to do this assignment, so can we please have something that they can still get graded for. If not, then, you know, they'll take a 0, because, you know, we're just not participating. And so you have to learn, and you are, you know, stand up for what you believe in, because you're teaching them stuff there too. You know, you don't want to teach them to compromise. And so you're doing it good, you know, help them find something that they can still learn, but we're not going to do that. So what's an alternative route? And that's what homeschooling is looking for alternative routes.
Right. Well, I have to take off. So thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. I loved visiting with you. I appreciate you hopping on with us, and you have a good day.
You too. Bye, Christy. Thank you for your help.
All right.
You're welcome. I don't know if she's
already off. And did you have any questions as well?
No, I don't. I'm just happy to see that there's a group, and hopefully, you know, it'll grow.
I hope so too. I know the time is conflicting with some people's schedules, so I'm going to try to do a poll to find out days and times that work best for people. So maybe we can pinpoint a better day and time for people, and there'll be a more larger group on here next time. But I certainly am blessed that you hopped on here and chimed in and helped us out.
Well, thank you very much. And I mean, I will try to always, but I clean houses as well as, you know, homeschool and just do life, right?
Yeah.
I won't ever have my video, because I want to respect my clients.
Of course.
And so, but thank you very much for doing this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And it's just you and I left on here. So we're going to go ahead and just stop the recording and call it good for today, but we will be back next month. Same day and same time, unless I get some good, responses on the poll that I'll do about more specific dates and times that would work better for people.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a blessed day.
You do the same.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.